So welcome to the Africville Museum. My name is April Howe. I am chair of the Africville Heritage Trust. Beside me is my colleague, board partner in crime, and president of the Africville Genealogy Society, Irving Carberry. I'm sure many of you know him. So we are honored to be your MCs for the afternoon. So you're stuck with us for a little while. I want to take just a quick second and perhaps go off script and just talk for a few seconds about the importance of Africville and the importance of today. First of all, I can't express enough gratitude to the board of the Africville Heritage Trust. This is a very hard-working board, and we have partnered with some very important stakeholders within the community, and we've accomplished so much, and no one person can take credit, but as a group, as a community, as a board, we've all come together and we're moving the ball forward. So I'm very, very proud and very pleased to be part of this, and I'm sure that the sentiments are the same for Irvin, but I just wanted to take a moment and say those few words.
Thank you very much, April. On behalf of the Africville Genealogy Society and all of the people of Africville, both our ancestors who are gone and our descendants who are still here, and the former residents of Africville, we'd like to take this opportunity to thank Canada Post for recognizing the importance and historical significance of our community of Africville here on these shores. For a lot of folks who may not realize, but both of our African Nova Scotian ministers who were elected to the House in the last provincial election have connections to Africville. It shows you the broad reach of the people of Africville and how we impact on every aspect of life in this province. I want to recognize my brother Eddie, who continues to be here in Africville. So on each and every occasion I have, I like to recognize him. I also want to recognize the work of Betty Skinner in terms of her work with Canada Post to bring about this day. Betty, thank you very much.
So it's my pleasure at this moment to introduce the Honorable Tony Ince, Minister of Communities, Culture, Heritage, and African Nova Scotian Affairs. Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. It is certainly a pleasure to be standing in this wonderful place which represents on some level all the history of African Nova Scotia and one of African Nova Scotia's oldest communities, Africville. Thank you, April and Irvin. Thank you, April and Irvin. It is an honor to join you at the Africville Museum to witness the official unveiling of the Africville stamp. There can be no doubt the people and families with connections to Africville make a strong and vibrant community here in Nova Scotia. I am proud that the Africville community can still exist so strongly through stories and the people who hold them dear to their hearts. I know the people of Africville with connections to the history are very proud of their history and their story. It is fitting that Canada Post has selected the story of Africville to become part of Black History Month stamp series. It is important that the stories continue to be passed down through the generations. The stamp is an excellent way to begin conversations and continue conversations about where people come from and how they lived in a community. The Africville Heritage Trust Society and the Africville Genealogy Society continue to help people stay connected. Thanks to them and to the families of Africville, all Nova Scotians have a tremendous opportunity to learn about the history of families from one of the oldest African Nova Scotian communities in the province. I'd like to thank Doug Jones and his team at Canada Post for their work on the Black History Month stamp series. And I believe that the design on the stamp represents and continues to give a representation of Africville. It shows the people who live here, like Bernice Arsenault, is a person who is proud of her community, who continues, along with Bernice and many other people over the years that I've seen the reunion in the summer, the pride they have within this community. So I thank them for continuing. And as Mr. Carvey had said, his brother Eddie as well, for continuing to bring the stories, the history, and the pride of this great community. I'd like to acknowledge also the excellent work of the local designer, Karen Smith. Karen designed the stamp using a photograph provided by Artist Pye. Karen, great job. Now, without a doubt, one of the most memorable landmarks in Africville has been the church. And the stamp does a good job at capturing that particular building. Now, that being said, I'm not going to speak much more. I would like to thank all of you for being a part of today's event. What a fitting way to reach the end of African Heritage Month. Thank you all for your tremendous support. Thank you, and have a great day.
Doug Jones, Senior Vice President of Delivery and Customer Experience at Canada Post, to make some remarks in the presentation. And Doug, I need to say that this is exceptionally a pleasure for me because I'm a former Canada Post employee. I retired from Canada Post in 1995, so this has extra special meaning for me coming from my former employer. Right. Doug Jones.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you to Minister Ince, the Africville Heritage Trust Society, and the Africville Genealogy Society for making this event possible. Canada Post is delighted to be celebrating Black History Month and, of course, African Heritage Month in Nova Scotia. We have marked this month with an official stamp series since 2009. The 6th installment of our Black History series honors historic African Canadian communities and the people who call them home. The Africville Genealogy Society and Heritage Trust Society make this stamp possible through their support and the research help they gave to Canada Post. Africville has become an important symbol of the struggle against racism. As you know, the community was dismantled in the 1960s in the name of urban renewal. I've made a comment to a few people that as a young child growing up in the area, that I have few vivid memories. But one thing that stands out in particular is driving down in this part of the city with my parents and having them explain to me with much emotion what was going on here. And although I probably did not appreciate what was happening at the time, the emotion in my parents' voice sticks with me forever. And I was talking to my mother about that last night, and it's still something that bothers her. So I'm very, very humbled to be here today and to recognize what the community and the people of the community have gone through. The stamp features photographs of 7 girls, all members of the community. 2 of them are with us here today. I'd like to welcome and thank Bernice Arsenault for being here. Stamp designer Karen Smith is also with us. Welcome, Karen. Karen will tell you how important it was to capture the fond memories and feelings that past residents had for Africville. The stamp design pairs real photographs with photo-inspired watercolors illustrations. The technique helped link the physical legacy and memories of the neighborhood and brought a sense of nostalgia to the background. The official first day cover of the Africville stamp depicts the church that served as the heart of the community. This very museum we're in is a replica. Exhibits here tell the story of a community that met the indignities of racism with grace and faith. The history of Africville resides here in the exhibits, which capture the story of faith, family, and home. It is a universal story. We are proud to celebrate Africville with our stamp and to help seal its lasting place in Canadian history. Africville will forever remain an enduring symbol of the need for vigilance in defense of African Canadian communities and institutions. I'm now honored to invite Bernice Arsenault, Mr. Ince, and Karen Smith to join me in the unveiling of the stamp.
Where are you? Where are you on the stamp? Right there. But Sylvia wanted me to let you know how very proud she is to be on that stamp, and how very proud she was of her growing up in Africville. So I just wanted to bring that from Sylvia here today. April.
I'm going to welcome Bernice to the podium, but just quickly before that, just to jump off of what Irvin said, my sister Judy passed, and I want to tell you a very quick story. I'll keep it brief. Judy battled cancer very privately for the last year and a half. Didn't tell anybody, just wanted to handle it in her own way. She did let me know, and as her disease progressed, she certainly was thinking about Africville and the stamp. When the stamp was released, the first thing I did was send it to her blown up. And the only words on the stamp were, "Your legacy." So she's not with us, but I do want to recognize her. And Bernice, I'd be honored if you would come up and speak to the stamp and your history with us as well. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. To me, I'm honored as well, and with this stamp from Africville, on Africville, to me, it portrays family, community, and church. And this will help the spirit of Africville live on forever. We're all over Canada now. Everybody knows who we are, and we've made history. Thank you.
Now we're going to continue on to City Hall, where there will be a larger celebration, a little bit more of a recap of what happened here today. And I believe that that's happening at 2:30.
There you go. Partner brings me back. Look this way, look this way. Smiles, big smiles. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce the Mayor of the Halifax Regional Municipality, Mayor Mike Savage.
What a pleasure it is to be with you today on the second last day of African Heritage Month to share in the official unveiling of this stamp. And how fortunate we are that we can unveil this stamp today in the presence of Bernice Arsenault, whose Africville girlhood is so beautifully captured on the stamp by designer Karen Smith that we're going to see. I want to acknowledge Canada Post. Doug, thank you and your team for taking an active role in recognizing and celebrating the history of Africville and of African Nova Scotians. As I understand it, this is Canada Post's 6th installment in the African Heritage Month series that began in 2009. Congratulations to Canada Post for that recognition. And while we all know that a stamp is in itself a small thing, although I want to see the letter that this one's going to go on, its symbolism is so much more. Not so long ago, it would have been a difficult thing for City Hall. I don't think you could have seen City Hall host this reception to see Africville represented on a stamp. We're now in a better place. We can acknowledge and accept responsibility for Africville's loss while we honor the history of a community and its people whose families continue to contribute to the life and the culture of our city. When we look at the 7 young girls that are depicted on that stamp, we see joy, hope, friendship, we see belonging. And we can also recognize those invisible yet incredibly strong bonds of community that have ensured that Africville is a part of our shared consciousness, that is, of all of us. I hope everybody who sees Sylvia Mantley and Bernice and their childhood friends peering from the back of an envelope stops ever so briefly to smile with them and remember what it was like to be a child. And I hope that this important chapter in the history of Halifax and the history of African Nova Scotians travels on this stamp around the world to find curious new minds who ask, tell us about Africville, and that story will be told. Thank you very much.
Might have one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.